Sean, over to you. What do we have prepared for today?
Yeah, today we are going to go over the basically building data experience with AI in Luzmo. And of course, I also have a lot of time for questions if anyone wants to go deeper about that. But the idea is we'll first start with just showcasing quickly, um, yeah, different ways. The way I see it is there's kind of, say, two high level ways of using AI. First is using what we provide in Luzmo. So that's you as a user as Luzmo, potentially even the customers that you're embedding and delivering this to, what kind of AI functionalities we're providing to you out of the box from Luzmo. But then there's also the idea of how can you use other AI tools to best implement and integrate Luzmo, because there's obviously a lot of people utilizing things like Claude Code, Cursor, Codex, whatever you're using, and just making sure that you're able to get the most out of Luzmo and the quickest, time to market, getting you up and running as fast as possible.
Yeah, that sounds like a great plan. And since we're streaming on YouTube and LinkedIn, I will be checking chats on each of these platforms as well. So, in case we get any questions here in chat or on any other platform, I will let you know at the end of the session to make sure that we cover any open questions that we get.
Perfect. All right. Well, then we can jump right into it. And yeah, as I mentioned, I'll start with a little bit of me talking, but there can be some time for chatting in not too long here. So I'll start sharing my screen, and hopefully we will be seeing this pop up. But basically, yeah, we're having our office hours that we're running weekly here with a focus on AI. So, as I mentioned, as a bit of a starting point, I'll go over what you can do in Luzmo when it comes to AI functionalities we're providing you out of the box to help get you up and running and moving quickly. So, first thing I want to highlight is in the data sets tab here. So, of course, when you're working with Luzmo, you need some data to visualize. And in this data sets tab is where you're going to be connecting your data, uploading data. If I go into one of my pre-uploaded data sets, the first feature I want to bring to your attention is in this data set, if you click the details button, what you'll see are a lot of, or all of my columns in this data set. Maybe I'll zoom in to make this a little easier to see. And right here, you'll see we have the ability for you to set a column description. And the first AI functionality is this create missing descriptions. So as you see, as a lot of data sets come, there's a column name, but it's not always super obvious what they're actually referring to. They've got their own structure, their own way of talking. So why this is important to actually fill out, and I'll click this button, is for the other AI functionalities we're going to be looking into, it's important for that AI to understand what it's looking at. So when it comes to these columns, for example, it may not know these may be somewhat obvious, but like user is verified. What exactly does that column mean? When would you ever want to use it to answer a question? And that's where we have that ability to automatically generate these descriptions, which I won't go through each and every one of them. But what will be important for you as well is after they've been generated, some of them are maybe correctly done by the AI, but it's worth taking a look to make sure that it's as clear as possible. Because if you do a little bit of work now to make sure that the descriptions, and you can also, for example, change the column name to something like target ID. If these are well set up, it's going to help the rest of your utilization of AI in the platform, as well as potentially your customers if you're giving them access to utilize some of our AI functionalities. So that's a quick and easy one. Just provided descriptions for all of my columns, and then I will jump out of here. Sticking in the data sets though, another feature we do have is if I go to this blue button top right here, add a formula. This is a columnar based calculation, and it basically allows you to create these metrics, these formulas, these calculations that you're going to be using in your dashboards. We can do things just dragging and dropping, let's say the old style of working, but we also do have our AI build a formula where you just provide a description, show me for every user verified is true. Uh, doesn't really matter. Job prestige divided by red flag count, let's say. I'm just going to take a go again, looking at those columns that we had, and hopefully this good descriptions, and it's going to build a formula that can then be used in our dashboard. So here we go. The sum if again, I won't go through it all, but this is looking actually pretty good. Uh, Now I can save it a new calculation. Let's say so that's a nice feature just to make life a little easier when creating those formulas. Next thing I'm going to show is you'll notice we have this new analyst tab here. And what this is doing is it's utilizing what we call our Luzmo IQ, and that's the idea of conversational analytics. First thing you're going to do is make sure it's asking questions to the right data. You can add additional data sets as well, if that makes sense. But once you have your data set in, you can now start asking questions directly to that data set. So, how many hours are spent dating? Pretty broad, but let's see if it can come up with a answer. And what it's going to do is it's going to try to answer you in natural language, as well as potentially create a graph, a chart as well, which here you'll see 11,000 hours have been spent dating across all interactions, and a nice number widget in this case has been built. What's really cool as well is you'll see this copy to dashboard function. If I click the button, I can, for example, find a new dashboard to add this visualization in, or click new dashboard. It's copied there and I can go. But I can continue the conversation. Maybe do things like, is there a correlation between time spent and match rate, let's say? So it doesn't have to be something very specific, like give me a number, give me a chart. You can actually ask it to kind of try to interpret the data, see if there's correlations, just give you further insights. And now it's come up with an answer, basically that time spent viewing a profile, no meaningful relationship with the matches. And I won't go through all the answer here. And again, I could copy this to a dashboard if I wanted to. But next, outside of this analyst page, so this is for you using Luzmo to ask data yourself, potentially even generate charts. I can go to a dashboard. So I'll just actually go into a dashboard now. You'll see that here are those widgets I actually added. And I'll continue just sharing some of the functionalities here in the dashboard creation. So if I click this add item button, it's a similar experience to what I just showed with the analyst, but this add item ask for a chart or insight. This is very focused on just building a dashboard, building a visualization. It's not going to give you a text response. It's really all about just building something out. So show me a column chart for matches by, let me just double check the data here. User politics, column chart matches via politics, something even as easy as that. It's going to attempt to build that chart for me. And then from there, you'll see I have this item, edit item and prompt area. It's showing what it did, column chart showing the number of matched interactions, group by user politics. Okay, add a group by. That is interesting. I won't even try to give it a call. Let's see if it just tries to add something in. And this is basically just utilizing all the different settings and data that you can do manually. You'll see here it decided to group by a target, whether there's a dog present. Stack the bar charts, please. That's basically this ongoing discussion with the AI prompt to update, change this chart as okay, and maybe instead of column chart, make a bar chart. Hopefully, gives you an idea that instead of doing the it's still very easy, like a very classic way of dragging and dropping things to into a chart. You can just prompt to get the results. Um, what I find is it's a really nice way to just get started. As you get more used to Luzmo, I think it's definitely worth still going into the settings of a chart because this can actually help give you an understanding of what's possible. For example, what are the settings that can change? When it comes to adding things to the axes, do you want a label, for example? But this can also help guide you in your use of the AI functionalities because now you understand a little more what's possible when it comes to the settings and things like that. But you can do it either way via prompt or via settings. You're not limited to one. If you start a prompt via AI, you can then go into the settings and manually change things yourself, like roundedness of the bars, for example, updated there. Now, these are all the features, let's say internally that Luzmo you're using when you're like logged into Luzmo, you're an admin, you're in this back office for managing your analytics. What I'll switch over to showing now is some of the functionalities you can provide to your end users. So these are things that you're going to embed into the platform itself, and the end users can now have access to. So if I jump into this other tab, see, this is a demo environment. This Sales Compass is a pretend sales application where there's different users who can log in. And if I log into my user on this initial page, I'll zoom in quickly. You'll see there's a few different Luzmo features and functionalities, but just to be clear, we're pretending this is a end user environment where, here the Sales Compass platform is your platform. On the left, it's your navigation. But what's been embedded are these functionalities here that are coming from Luzmo. And we do have a few different AI functionalities. You'll already see that there's this summary that's kind of popping up as we go along here. And there's also this Ask Sales Compass. This Ask Sales Compass is essentially the same as our analyst that we have in application, but you've now embedded it for an end user to use, where essentially it's scoped to whatever data the user is allowed to see. But now they're able to just ask questions to the data, exactly what we showed, same experience here. Well, that's thinking, yep, nice, easy, average deal size, creating a chart, maybe split by salesperson, for example. Yeah, similar experience. Now, this is a front end component that's being embedded in the platform. This could be a pop-up chatbot style component. It could also just be a full page. How you actually embed it is totally up to you. But it's worth mentioning that this is very easy. Once you've integrated with Luzmo, getting this IQ chatbot put into your application, it's very small snippet of code to get up and running. Now, this is the out of the box option, kind of utilizing that analyst, this Luzmo IQ, right out of the box. But what we're finding has a lot of uptake with customers is that they want to utilize Luzmo IQ, but they want it a little more tailored and integrated into potentially existing features and functionalities they have. And what I mean by that is often a platform may have a chatbot already, an AI chatbot where you can ask support questions or do something that your platform requires. And they also want to allow the user in that exact same spot ask questions to their data. And that is possible with Lesmo. So we do have we are API first with most everything we do, and that includes our Lesmo IQ. So actually integrating, ask your data into so this up here, this top right, this is not a Lesmo IQ component. This is just a component the platform has. You could write the exact same question. What is average sales size? And it's going to run through things and actually answer the question, but deliver it directly in this other chatbot. In this case, we're just getting a text response because that's how we set it. We could also just as well have provided a chart or only a chart, for example. But why this is, yeah, so important is it means that you're not, if you have multiple AI functionalities, you don't have to have like 4 different spots that the user has to go to if you want to ask your data, please navigate here. If you want to ask a support question, go here. If you want to do this other thing, go here. It allows you to really keep things tight and integrated and the best user experience possible. Finally, here's another AI integration that we have, API integration we have, where it's taking a pre-existing question prompt that was given to Luzmo IQ. We provide the response to you, and then in this case, it's just being presented to them at the top of the page. So this isn't a Luzmo component. This is our API powering the answer, but in this case, they put it together as a summary at the top of the page. Now, the other things you can do is because you are able to actually embed our editor, we call it EDE, but you can embed our dashboard editor. So that experience I showed you at the beginning for building dashboards, since you can embed that directly in your application, your end users actually also get the ability to, for example, build a chart via AI to add to their dashboard if you've given them access to this functionality. I won't go through the whole flow again, but it's the exact same, pie chart of sales per sub-region, let's say. Oop, not typing. But same experience, same idea, where they're now getting the ability to use our Luzmo Studio, our dashboard editor, and the AI functionalities that are part of it. think at the
And
moment,
Sean, quick question here. So, from the looks of it, seems like the end users don't need to be super tech savvy to use it. Is this the case? Can you share a little bit from your experience working with our customers? What are they saying about it?
yeah, I think it's definitely true to say that it's even easier to use for a non-technical, whether it's a product or business user. I would say even before the AI implementations, our classic way of working was also very business friendly, but the AI just goes that next level where it's just by a prompt, very accessible. And I think also helps a bit with that like blank canvas kind of issue where you start with maybe nothing and you don't even know what to do. You could go as broad as general as create an interesting chart, and it will try to do something. Um, so you don't even necessarily need to have something in mind initially. It's going to take a look at the data and it's going to try to build something out for you. So getting those first steps of getting familiarized with what you want to present and how to use Luzmo, I think it's been a really good, a great step forward with the product.
Got it. So basically, if you're more or less familiar with using chat interfaces, LLMs, you will be super confident using this as an end user and just like querying your data.
Yeah, absolutely. And like even as you saw, I went as broad as just asking create an interesting chart and it came up with something. Total deal amount by expected close date, group by deal stage. So I'd say a pretty reasonable chart just off of something as broad as that. So it can really help just get you started and it's super easy to use.
Got it. That's pretty impressive.
But actually, one other feature I did forget. We do have a widget called AI Summary where all I need to do is drag this in to a dashboard. And what it's going to do is this essentially is going to summarize that dashboard. You do have the ability to change a few of the settings here, like whether there's a scroll bar, whether you share, whether it's AI, and how many words are allowed. You can also include a custom prompt to help guide how you want it to display and answer questions. But essentially, this is in some ways maybe the easiest way to get some AI functionality in front of people. Is it's just a widget. It automatically works. You'll see here. I just dropped it into my dashboard, and it's already showing, the average deal sizes, competitive landscapes, pipeline dynamics. If I wanted that to be I've got enough room. Let's add it to 200 words. It's going to actually make a bigger summary in this case. So super easy to get up and running with this feature, and it's just a item here in my drop down general. Here we go, AI summary. But finally, I did mention at the beginning that there is a lot of customers and prospects using AI LLMs like Claude Code to actually build on top and do the integration with Lesmo. What I'll quickly just share is that we do have here in our developer documentation, each page, you'll see there's a LLM friendly URL that can be easily copied and pasted into, whether it's a chat kind of style you're using, AI chat assistant, or more of a coding assistant. But also, if you look at the bottom left here, the LLM resources, we do have this LLMs.txt as well as agents.md files that are going to really help with your AI assisted coding because it just basically gives the instructions, the rules, the patterns, etc., to how to work with Lesmo. And all you need to do is you can actually just either take the files themselves or provide the AI with these URLs. And then you can immediately go in and start asking questions. And what's great about it is it can go from anywhere, just asking questions on how to utilize Lesmo, like, how would you create an embed token? And it can describe that as opposed to needing to manually look through things in this developer documentation. But it can also go as far as doing the coding, building your authorization flow, doing the integration side of things. So it's a really powerful uh, feature, or not sure if it's a feature, but a ability that we allow and enable for you to make sure that our real value we're trying to help you with is make building and delivering these dashboards, these data products as quick as easy. And really, this AI coding is that next step to just continuing to make it even easier. And I think that's about it that I wanted to share as far as the AI side of things. I could also, unless there's some questions there, I could also quickly share something I built with AI coding, and it would also tie nicely into what I believe we're doing next week, which is looking at our analytics components kits as a bit of a teaser. But otherwise, yeah, I'd love to know if there's any questions.
I'm keeping an eye on the chat. We don't have any questions just yet, but also please be mindful that with LinkedIn and YouTube, the streaming is lagging a little bit, so we might be getting some questions there. So let's wait for that. But while we are waiting, I think you can do the showcase. It's a really cool project. So yeah, let's take a look
Okay,
at it.
cool. So maybe just a quick teaser for next week as we wait for any questions, which is this is a hackathon project I did. So we released what we call our analytics component kit, which are, to just put it quickly, are kind of like these building blocks for helping build a completely custom data product, Luzmo experience for your end users. It was basically 2 afternoons where the idea was to basically do all the coding entirely via, AI assisted coding, so no actual touching of the code. And what I did for mine was I used Codex, and I basically wanted to build a dataing app. So utilizing the same idea as dating apps where it's a swipe right to accept somebody, swipe left to pass. Do that with dashboard for dashboard creation. So the very first thing you have to do is give a little bit of information about you. What data persona are you? What you choose actually affects if you turn realism mode whether the data actually accepts you back or not. But I'll keep that off so I can choose what I want, and I choose what data is interesting to me. So in this case, I've got two different data: machine idle info or ESG data. I'll start making my dashboard. And now what's popping up here is this is coming directly from Luzmo. This is a number widget, as you imagine, but you'll see there's this data profile talking about like the title, the chart type, the data set, the slots. All of these are again being queried from Luzmo. We're providing this application, the information, and it's displaying in this kind of card. You'll also see there is a AI summary of this visualization coming from Luzmo. So if I swipe right, it's matched. I don't want this one. I'll swipe left. But you notice this is a live Luzmo item. It's not pre-rendered. Like this is, you'll see I've got a pop-up coming up as I hover over the data. The AI summary is live as well. So I'll just quickly, won't go any bit deeper. You'll see that AI summary is popping up as we go. I'm just going to add these all to my dashboard. And now next step is I can also, again, use that Luzmo ACK components to create something myself. So I can either build it myself, choosing a chart. I won't build it out, or using AI. So similar to what I just did in Luzmo. So pie chart of board independence. Yeah, sure. By country. Why not? And then live, as I've described this chart, it's going to attempt to build a chart, and I'll be able to then choose whether I do want to actually add it into my application or not. Give it a second. Here we go. So again, I've just built a chart by AI using Luzmo. It's being added to this whole idea of like a card profile. It's automatically picked up the title, the type, the data set, the measures, and made a AI summary. Okay, let's add that to my chart dashboard. Um, and now I have my dashboard where, again, this is Luzmo components. These are all the visual items. We have a full grid that they can be put on, so that makes it very easy for you to be able to edit the dashboard, provide settings changes, for example, for the user if you want to do all these things. Um, and yeah, this was just a quick overview of what I made in 2 afternoons, built on top of the Luzmo ACK components, but entirely built by AI. So it's a nice connection in what we were just talking about using Codex. And what's really nice about this as well, and using Luzmo to build out, data products like this is, okay, this was done via coding, but there still is that connection with Luzmo, that back office we were looking at. So if I go back to Luzmo itself, you'll see I've got this hackathon collection, and included in that is that ESG data, for example. So these are the charts that project I made is picking up on. So it's live picking up what charts are in this dashboard. So for example, here, I'm just going to make a radar chart. let's bring this to the top to make it a little easier to show. So I'm building this live. It's in Luzmo. I'm not touching the application itself. So I'm not going into the code of the application. I'm just building, in this case, a new widget in a dashboard, but it could just as well be a brand new dashboard that gets added to the collection. So you'll see I've got this nice new radar chart. If I go back into my application and let's see, start a new connection, ESG data. There's that radar chart I just built in Luzmo in your application. Didn't touch the code, didn't need to do any AI coding. It's that nice seamless integration between your application and Luzmo. Obviously, if you're doing this in a live production environment, you may want some checks and steps along the way as far as publishing goes. But for this, I didn't do that. But yeah, hopefully, just shows the both the power of AI coding, our ACK components, and just like what's possible when it comes to building these data products that you're going to be building and managing and delivering value to your users. But I think that's all I had to share.
Yeah, I think to recap the session, in case we have any questions, I'm still looking out for them. But to recap the session, Sean, and thanks for doing this extensive demo. So, a couple of questions for you. First, if we were to summarize the key use cases and what basically AI unlocks for Luzmo, what would you point out? Like, what are your recommendations? What should you use AI for in Luzmo? What does it unlock? What does it help to speed up, and so on?
Yeah, I think high level the what we're getting from it is speed. Um, and as I mentioned earlier, there's kind of those two buckets I like to think of them in is what Luzmo's providing kind of in application, create a chart using that analyst to ask your data and then maybe add it to a dashboard. It's all about like ease and speed to finding insights and adding them to the dashboard. So your actual building experience should be much faster and easier. But then there's also the ability to provide things to end users. So giving that access to the end users is quite a large benefit because in the end, when you're using Lesmo, you're generally looking to build a data experience for them. So enhancing their ability to speed to insights, ability to not have to ask you to add a new chart or ask about the data, give it to them in their hands. And then finally, as I showed in the end there, like just while speed to market, ability to build and integrate quickly has always been, our strength. With AI, it's even better. We provide the building blocks that makes AI coding super easy. It's much easier than just asking it to go from scratch. It's building on top of our pre-existing, authorization, querying, libraries of, front end libraries, everything. So even with AI coding, it just makes things much faster, much cleaner. Yeah, so I'd say speed overall is basically what we're offering and seeing the most benefit from.
Yeah, thanks for this recap. And you mentioned building blocks. Can you do a small teaser for our next week's session? It's happening on Wednesday, same time, and we're going to talk about ACK. Can you give a little bit of a preview? What we're going to cover there?
Yeah, so the analytics component kit, so ACK, it's one of our newish releases, and it's just allowing you to go beyond the low code out of the box things we provide you. Those are incredibly fast and easy to get up and running with, but the ACK just gives you full control to build the exact experience that you want, kind of similar to what I shared from my project, but we've got quite a few showcases to kind of show you the power of it. And it just means that you're not limited by us. Obviously, the benefit of low code is it's very quick and easy, but you come to a limitation on customization options, whereas the ACK really gets as much as possible rid of those limitations and only slightly increases the amount of complexity for building, especially with the AI coding that's now available to work with it. So it's just providing that full freedom to build whatever you want and need on top of Lesmo.
Yeah, that's a great teaser. So, looking forward to our next week's office hours session. Again, same time, 1 p.m. CT. We're going to spend, again, maybe 25-30 minutes total covering ACK and answering any questions you may have. And for everyone who's watching this as a recording, you can also leave comments on YouTube or LinkedIn or shoot us a quick email, and we'll be happy to follow up on any questions that you may have. And thanks, Sean. I'll see you next week.
Yep, yep. Feel free to for anyone to reach out directly to me if you have my contact info on LinkedIn. If you have any questions, happy to chat.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.